All right. I hope you have a good intro for this one.
Every intro is a good intro.
So true. So true. I didn't mean it like that.
This is episode 35 of the Elbow Nudge Podcast. How you doing, listeners? And how you doing, Caroline?
Doing pretty good. What about yourself?
I'm doing good. It feels good to be back. And I feel like we need to warm up because it's been a little while for us.
That's right. They have no idea, but we have an idea of
Yeah,
what's been going on. So, what's your idea for this warm up?
I was just thinking I'm probably going to be just finding my words for the first 10 minutes and then I'm going to be warmed up by then.
Getting the flow of things. All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
For those who don't know by this title, we're talking Toy Story 3 today.
Oh, yeah. We're talking Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
But before we do that,
here's
a warm up here.
Oh, okay.
We got our first emails, Caroline.
We did, yeah.
We're doing this right at the front.
Okay. So we don't make them listen any longer.
I'm very happy to have received emails. It only took 35 weeks.
It took technically 36 episodes, but
Wait, really? Why?
Well, because this is the 36th
yeah.
episode.
No,
of the Elbow Nudge Podcast.
No, this is 35.
Is it 35?
Yeah.
I'm the one off by one. Wow.
I said 35 though, so it's fine.
Okay. No, I can be wrong about this. You're the one that keeps track of the numbers.
No, but you're right. It's off because we did a 0 episode, and also our Pirates episode is 2 episodes. So we're not gonna count it like that.
We're not gonna change it, but I'm pseudo right. But I'm also wrong at face
Caroline,
value.
you're right. Don't worry. I'm giving it to you. You're good. Don't worry about it.
Okay. So we got some emails.
I was very happy to read these emails. Okay. Because that means people know that we have an email.
We do. elbownudgepod@gmail.com.
Thank you. Yeah. You can write anytime you want about anything you want. Questions, concerns,
recommendations,
suggestions for changes to the channel,
movies,
and your own personal stories.
Yeah. Anything you want.
But this email in particular is from our devoted favorite San Antonio listeners. Your parents.
My parents.
Yeah. Your mom and your dad. 2 separate emails were written to the Elbow Nudge Podcast.
They wrote you 2 separate emails?
Yeah. You didn't know?
No, I didn't.
You didn't read them?
I know, I didn't. I did not read them because I know that you're going to handle the emails. Also, I saw one from my mom, and I was like, I'm not reading that. I'm going to let Tony handle that one.
I'm surprised.
I walked to her room, and I was like, why did you email the podcast? And then she was like, don't worry about it.
Really?
Yeah.
So you don't know at all?
I have an inkling. My dad is the one that spilled the beans, but I didn't know he wrote an email as well.
Oh, I'm very surprised because usually you don't like the surprises. You like knowing it.
Yeah, but not this time around. I was kind of scared. I was like, oh, what are they writing?
So I'm not gonna read the emails word for word. I'm not gonna do that. There'll be no blasting here. But both the emails concern our beloved Wendy.
For those of y'all who don't know, Wendy is our girl in the Elbow Nudge icon.
So this is what the conversation is about, and it's completely reasonable. The characters you see are named Scott and Wendy, the boy and girl that are in all of our videos for Elbow Nudge. But your mom specifically has told me on multiple occasions that she's a very visual, attentive listener, and she wants to see someone that looks more like you. And that's what this email is about.
Aww,
she said she wants this girl to have black hair and glasses.
In a way, that's sweet. She wants me.
Yeah. So that's what this is about. And I feel like this is a good time to probably give a little background on how we started the podcast and this area of the logo and the art behind it.
Yeah, pull back the curtain on your artistic.
Just a little bit. We'll get to Toy Story 3, I promise. It won't take very long.
Of course. We wouldn't title an episode Toy Story 3 and not talk about Toy Story 3.
Yeah. But just to address our listeners who are writing an email, which I'm very thankful for. I was making the art, right, for our logo, for our thumbnails and the title, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my first thought, and I told you, but my first thought was, I am not going to cartoonify ourselves. I did not want to do that. It really is like, for some reason, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of cartoonifying yourselves for whatever, for any profile picture or avatar or something. But eventually I got around to, and I showed you my Inkscape, like,
Yeah, like your kind of vision board
yeah, the vision board that I
for the
did.
art of this podcast. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I showed you my whole step-by-step process, and eventually it came down to two, and I showed you the two choices, and one was the one we have now, and
Yeah.
the other one was a guy wearing 3D glasses, bright red and blue, and then he has like red spiky hair.
Yeah, yeah.
But you ended up liking the one we have now.
Yes. Scott.
And my whole idea, like, it was just going to be that. Like, I didn't think we would be making, our YouTube recap things, like using our characters or whatever. I didn't really know how that was going to be used. I was just focusing on the thumbnail. I wanted to look bright, colorful, and simple to read. And yeah, that first one, the 3D glasses one, it looked like what it feels like to chew 5 gum. And then and then this one we have now is like, hey, welcome to the theaters kind of thing.
And
Elbow
I'm
nudge.
I'm a fan. 'Cause when I saw your vision board, that was the one I instantly drew to because I'm a fan of that style. I think it's called like the rubber hose animation style.
I have
And
no idea.
that's kind of what our Scott looks like in that style. And so I was already like, I love that. I love that look.
Yeah, and then I also showed you a very rough sketch of the closest I came to doing something that represents us, and it was going to be the genres that we prefer.
Oh
And it was going to
yeah.
be in armor sitting next to an astronaut in a movie
Mhm.
theater.
Mhm.
But that one I never fully went through with because I was picturing like, oh, it needs more space. Like maybe it's just better as one character. And then eventually I started seeing Scott as like our vault boy,
Yeah.
from Fallout. Like just one character represents like the whole thing. But yeah, then after that, you're like, oh, we should add a girl. And then that's when I started grabbing the images of, really, it was just like cool looking hair. So that's why her hair is like all wavy and uh,
And poofy.
just, yeah, and poofy. And then just yellow so that it contrasts against the red. And then, yeah, that was the whole idea behind that. But then now I can see, when you see those characters on the screen a lot and then you hear our voices, I can see how you can think that's what we're supposed to look like. But I don't know. Should it look like us? I would prefer it not to, but that's the suggestion we got. 2 emails. 2 emails. Your dad told Elbow Nudge to enhance the drawing of the girl.
I like how they had no issues with Scott, just Wendy.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, I think it would have made me feel a little better if they also said, and also the boy character should have black hair, and maybe he should have a beard, and maybe his eyes shouldn't be as open as they are.
Give him a Garfield face with
Yeah,
black
because
hair.
at that point it would be like, it'll be the Caroline character and then a Carl character. That wouldn't make any sense. But anyways, my closing thoughts on this response, I would say these are just characters completely separate from us, and they've been with us for 35 episodes now. I like to keep them for the whole journey. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Caroline.
I do. I think I like our Scott and Wendy. I think they exist within this kind of sphere of the podcast. I think they're adorable. That's why I use them so much during like the highlights and the marketing. Anytime I do like social media, I always use them because I just think they're adorable and they really do just fit the whole theme and look of the podcast. I do get the whole logic behind wanting to see kind of the characterization of the people who are actually talking. But I think just for this podcast, it kind of works. They're like our little mascots.
I'm glad one of us likes it. Thank you for writing in, guys. I'll be looking forward to more emails. So let's move on. Toy Story 3.
Let's get to Toy Story 3.
Where do you want to start with this?
Okay, I was going to ask you that question, but
Oh, I have plenty of starting points. You just tell me.
I do have one, but I don't think it's a starting point. This is like the best opening of the 4 movies, I think.
I'm glad you said that. I feel like maybe your love of Toy Story 2 would blind you to how good this opening is.
No, this is the best opening. And
It's the
I
best
mean,
opening.
from that whole imaginary like train heist that's going on with, with the Mr. Potato Head and the kids and all of them, and then, the Emperor Pork, and all the way to like the video recording section. And we hear that "You've got a friend in me." That was making me really emotional. The first time I watched it, I think it was 2 weeks ago, right after Toy Story 2. I was crying. I was really emotional watching like just this kid having fun with his toys, and knowing, especially now, like knowing how Woody feels and the toys feel being with Andy. It was just so beautiful and such a wholesome moment. And with Newman's "You've Got a Friend in Me" in the background was just amazing. This is the best opening of the films.
Yeah, can you tell me your experience of the first time seeing Toy Story 3 when it came out? Because I feel like this is very important. This is a very important movie.
I was in theaters. I saw it in theaters. I think I was in high school, and I think I went and I saw it with friends too. And so I wasn't watching it with my parents or anything. And I remember seeing it with a group of friends, and I was getting emotional watching it. I remember being in awe at the beginning of like, oh my gosh, like, these are all the adventures they had. And then seeing Andy as a grown up, I remember choking up and then turning to my right to look at my friends, and they were all stone faced. Like, I don't know if they
What?
were bored. I know, yeah. I don't know if they were bored or if they just like weren't into emotionally invested in Toy Story as I was, but because for me, I really thought that like Toy Story 2 was over. And then when I was already a teenager and Toy Story 3 was coming out, I was like, oh, they're making a Toy Story 3 to like one of my favorite childhood films. Amazing. And so that moment when I turned and looked at my friends, it was when it hit me like, I think I'm the only one who thinks of it as that important in this group.
Well, now I'm here to back you up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because after watching this again, for probably like the 8th time in my life, this is the best Toy Story to me. It took the spot.
Oh, this is your number one.
But let me explain it. Yeah,
Okay.
because it's a little bit like Infinity War and Endgame.
Oh,
I think
oh,
Toy
that's a
Story
big
3
gun.
is a lot more fun and easily have it playing on the TV and
You know
just have a
what?
good time.
I think I agree. I think I really agree with that.
And then 3, I was going to say, it's just a perfectly crafted movie. They just took everything to the next level. It looks better. The story is very intricate with what they do. I'm going to explain that because I feel like I like a lot of things that they do in here. And
Mhm.
then the emotions is just,
Enhanced,
yeah,
heightened.
at the top of the entire franchise. And that's why I was asking you, what was the experience for you like watching this for the first time? Because this is for a lot of us who grew up around this, if we were the age that Andy was, which a lot of us were when we saw this, we grew up with this movie. We grew up with this franchise and we grew up with Andy. And seeing Toy Story 3, we spoke about it in probably 2 or 1, but you're around that age where you're going to college or probably in college or probably senior year or something. And this
Mhm.
is like so relatable. And I don't know, I just love that they took this so serious of everything, of moving out, of Buster getting older, of what you do with your
Oh.
toys when you're gonna move out. Like, do you donate them, keep them, or do you love them still? And Like, there's a lot going on here. I'm just gonna quickly say, I remember watching this in theaters. I went to go see it with Alvin, and I don't know how we didn't plan it. I don't know what was going on with Carl or Angel. I don't know what they were doing, but it was just me and Alvin who saw this movie. And yeah, you can't cry, and you can't cry with your friends right next to you, right?
I mean,
But
you can, you just choose not to.
I choose not to every time, and it was hard. But
You're
now that
very
I've been watching it in private sessions, it's much easier to let the tears flow. But that's what I had in mind. Is just, this is so closely related to what a kid's life was if you were watching it as these movies were coming out.
It really encompasses that whole transitioning from kid to an adult, and that also means letting go of like the things you had as a kid, and then there's like the memories attached to it. And I know we're jumping around, but like the end when Andy and his mom look around his room and they see it all boxed up and stuff, that hit a lot. Like that realization of like, you're not a kid anymore. All your kid stuff has been put away. You have all your stuff you're taking with you to college now. It's time to move on to in the next phase of your life. It's just they really nailed the emotions associated with like that season. And then they nailed the timing, cuz anybody who was a kid in 95, 96 is now going to college in 2010. So it worked out so perfectly. The timing and the story and emotions in this film.
Especially the gap from 2 to 3,
Yes.
because it's like you were saying, that opening is emotional because, well, first of all, it's so grand. You already see it look better, and the Andy's imagination is awesome. But then once it gets to the home video recordings of him playing again, and then you hear "You Got a Friend in Me," and you haven't heard that up to that point. You haven't heard it in like 10 years.
Yep. Yep.
So just think about that when you're rewatching this. Is like, this is a very special. This is the grand finale of what we've been growing up with. That's the way I saw it. I know Toy Story 4 exists, but that wasn't a thing yet. But
We'll
this was
get to
it. This
we'll
was a
get to Toy
goodbye.
Story 4 when we get to there. But for Toy
We'll
Story
get it
3,
if we get to it.
we'll get when we get there. But like this is also kind of like the story that was, at least the way I kind of thought about it, was haunting in the distance, because watching Toy Story 2, I mentioned that I watched it a lot when I was younger, and that was something that Prospector says, like, what are you going to do when Andy goes to college? Are you going to go with him when he gets married on his honeymoon? And this story tackles that, this is it. This is their part of the journey, is the end section of their life with
I will
Andy.
be making more endgame comparisons. Thanks for bringing that up.
I'll be the first. I'll fall on
When the
my
time
sword.
comes, I will be making endgame comparisons.
I'm expecting a lot out of you, mister.
All right. Can I also take this time to bring up how, again, is Pixar still making classics? Because
This is a
this
classic.
is a very important story. Like, everything matters. Even how you brought up how Andy's mom takes the time to just look around the room and just already start missing her boy, her baby boy.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of Pixar movies where the story is this important. Maybe it's my bias. Maybe it's the nostalgia, but there's so much. I feel like they really thought out a kid growing up and the decisions he has to make with his toys, and what the toys have to, the decisions they have to make. Stay with Andy, stay at the childcare. We'll get into more of this, but I'm just feeling like this is the most important movie to me that Pixar's made. This franchise specifically.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little biased towards Coco, but I'm not
And I
ignorant
haven't
of
seen Coco yet, so I'm not gonna discount that.
Coco is impeccable. But Toy Story really is their most important franchise. And for 1 through 3, they're most well done of their films. I think that these 3 films together are a perfect trio, and they have a neat little bow on it and everything. So I definitely get what you mean. This is a classic. It's got everything you want out of a movie, especially like for kids too. It could easily, we talked about it in these past Toy Story films, but a Toy Story movie could easily be like Secret Life of Pets, and you would think that 10 years later, different staff, different writers kind of thing, like different animators, they could have cash cowed it. They could have been like, hey, let's bank on the nostalgia of Toy Story. But they didn't. They actually sat down and wrote this really heartfelt, thought out story and just made it feel like there's obviously 10, I don't know how many like exactly, but so many years in between 2 and 3. It story wise, it doesn't feel like that. Story wise, it really just feels like the same people came over and made the same quality of story, if not a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm glad you put it like that because that's what I was trying to explain. They could have, well, we already know they did a great job with Toy Story, and it could have been, like you said, a Secret Life of Pets kind of movie, like super goofy and who cares, but it has so much meaning underneath that you can explore. And even this third one, if they came back for Toy Story 3, they could have had the option to just make another fun, like Andy could have probably been just a year older. Like, even though in real life, 10 years has passed or 11 years has passed, in the Toy Story universe, it could have just been another year for Andy. Just keep them young again, make another fun adventure. But no, they wanted to make a meaningful story. And I don't know, it felt like a thank you from Pixar. It felt like a we understand you, we understand your childhoods kind of thing. It just feels. I love Toy Story, Kelly. I'm sorry.
It was also the first animated movie to make $1 billion at the box office.
Toy
So
Story 3?
a lot of people agree with you on that front. Yeah, Toy Story 3.
Are you
It was also
serious?
the highest grossing movie of 2010.
No way.
Yeah.
2010, that's Iron Man 2 territory.
This is going to be Iron Man 2. Hang on.
I mean, I completely believe it made more than Iron Man because the MCU was still getting started. But it was the highest grossing movie of 2010.
Top grossing movies of 2010. Toy Story 3, and then it beat Avatar. But it's because this is just tickets. So hang on, let me get this for you. I'm going to send you this link I have here.
Avatar came out in 2010.
Avatar came out in 2010.
And we're finally going to see part 2 in 2022.
I'm sorry, Avatar came out in 2009.
Oh.
That's why it's not really, for some people, like if I go to like box office by IMDb Pro, we'll say that Avatar beat Toy Story 3, but that's because Avatar came out December of the year prior. But if you want to count strictly movies that released in 2010, Toy Story 3 beat it.
I gotcha. Okay.
There's a little loophole there for Avatar, but for 2010 films, Toy Story 3 won.
That's impressive.
I look at all these
I did
movies
not
that
know how successful that was.
it these are the movies that it beat. It beat Inception, Despicable Me, How to Train Your Dragon, Tangled,
Shrek
Tron.
Forever After.
Yeah, nobody should have seen that movie. That movie deserves way less. I didn't like that one at all. The Karate Kid with Jaden Smith, Megamind. I'm looking for more. Book of Eli, Prince of Persia,
These are a lot of good movies.
Percy Jackson. Look at all this. Sherlock Holmes. Wow. Alvin and the Chipmunks. Secretariat. I saw Secretariat in theaters.
I'll say the only real competition here is Twilight Eclipse.
You would.
Think about it. MCU wasn't.
It's 5th on the list. Alice in Wonderland beat Twilight Eclipse? What?
Yeah.
Look at that. And there's Iron Man 2. Yeah.
And number 4.
But number 1, Toy Story 3.
So on top of being the highest grossing of 2010, it's also another perfect 100 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Ah, yes.
Let's not forget.
All is right in the world. I'm glad Rotten Tomatoes has some sense.
Every once in a while, a movie right.
And this is one of them.
This is one of them. Yeah.
This is one of them. Toy Story 3. You know, I have my bias for Toy Story 2, but I can definitely agree that Toy Story 3 is better than 2. It's also funner to watch. And I hadn't remembered that until I watched it for the podcast. It is a lot funner to watch.
Let's get into it a little bit more because
I want to, well, as we get into it, I want to start it off with a question.
Okay, go ahead.
What do you think, now that this is new and improved animated Pixar, what do you think was the hardest thing to animate in this movie?
Do you have the right answer? Did they talk about this?
Yes, I do. I do have the right answer.
The hardest thing to animate in this movie?
Yes.
Can I just take stabs at it?
Yeah. Go ahead.
All
You're
right.
not
All
limited
right,
on a guess.
the monkey nuke in the beginning.
No.
No? The Woody sneaking out of Sunnyside and him like running on the toilet paper?
You know, that is close, but no, they actually did mention that. And I'll talk about it right now before we forget. They animated so many motions of him. I think it was like over 300 models just to get that scene, but that was not the hardest.
That scene stands out to me because that's a scene that you would never see in Toy Story 1.
Yeah. It's
The
just so
movement.
technical, and it's just for animation wise, they got everything, even the floppiness of him.
Yeah. All right, let's say landfill scene with all the garbage.
No, but close. You're getting warmer.
So it involves the garbage.
It
It involves the
involves,
third act.
yes. Well, no, it does not involve the third act. It does involve garbage.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But not in the incinerator scene, like none of that.
Mm-mm.
I can't think of any more
Okay.
garbage.
You know what? You're close. I'll give it to you. It
All right.
was the trash bags that, the rest of the toys get put in at the beginning of this film, or towards the beginning, where they
Yeah,
all end up
Woody
in the
sneaks out
trash.
to try to save him.
Yes, those trash bags, the animators said, let me pull it up. So now that they're able to realistically animate fur and skin and humans, their next biggest animation challenge was animating trash bags in the movie, because they wanted to get everything right, including the special properties of trash bags, such as how the plastic reflects light, the sound they make, and how thin they are. Animators spent weeks trying to figure out how to animate trash bags perfectly.
There's little things like that you would never think of.
You would never think of it, but that's just the Pixar way now.
I thought it would be like all right, auto generate light, boom, done.
Not to them. Can you imagine having like a trash bag in the animation room and all these lights on it, and they're just like, okay, all right, okay.
That's probably exactly what they did. They had one giant trash bag with a spotlight on it, and they were just rolling it around, drawing it in different scenes.
Moving it, saying, okay, if the sun is coming from here, it looks like this.
That's pretty fun. It sounds lame, but that's fun. Studying, just like, how does light reflect off trash?
Yeah. But from there, I want to transition to, what do you think about this whole thing about getting them into Sunnyside? Like, they believed they were being thrown in the trash. Have you ever, this is another aside that I just thought of, have you ever had your parents throw away toys, either accidentally or on purpose?
No, my mom is the one that kept my toys.
She kept them safe.
Yeah, so she wouldn't do that, no.
I've had that. I've had
Wait,
my,
can I tell you one thing before I forget? It was related to
sure.
the sounds and animation thing.
Uh-huh.
I just got to tell you a little annoyance of mine.
Oh, okay.
I hate hearing Sharpies in movies.
Really?
Markers being written on cardboard or paper, that sound hurts me.
What?
Yeah. Like the way a marker rubs on like that. Don't do that. Don't do that. What is that? You don't have a marker.
I do have a marker in my hand.
Oh, no,
And I
no,
have
no,
a
no,
piece of
no.
cardboard right here.
No, I'm taking my headphones off. Caroline.
It's just you and me now, audience.
Caroline, I'm putting my headphones back on.
How does that get to
I'm not listening yet.
you? Come on, man. Okay, I won't do it again. I promise. I promise.
It shivers my spine. This is like nails on chalkboard, except nails on chalkboard is fine for me, but a marker, especially if it's dry, like a dry marker on cardboard.
These are not dry, I can assure you. But
That doesn't bother you? Stop. Stop.
No, it doesn't. I actually have heard ASMR of people like drawing on cardboard with markers.
Ew. No, I can't. I feel so uncomfortable right now.
This is a fun little kryptonite I just learned. Wow. Amazing.
I feel so uncomfortable. I'm not even sitting right anymore.
What scene in this movie has that? I don't remember that. Is it when
They're writing
the sunny
attic on the
side, like,
box. Sunny side, donate, attic.
like this is the ones you donate and this is the ones for the attic.
Yeah.
Wow.
It hurts. It hurts to hear that. I thought more people I thought you would say like, yeah, it's so annoying. I thought you would agree.
Absolutely not. I am that's not something I'm immune to.
You hear
Or
marker
immune.
ASMR?
Yeah, I do. I actually have a video. I have an ASMR playlist of like the ones that are guaranteed to get me to fall asleep. And one of them is this girl organizing her markers, and she has this big like flap of a cardboard box, and she's like opening up a marker. It's a huge
Ew.
like bucket of markers. She opens one up, she tests it on the cardboard, and then if it works, she organizes it in like this little container, and if it doesn't work, she throws it away.
That sounds horrible. Even when you said she opens up the flaps of the cardboard box, like the way it rubs against the other flaps.
She cut it
I
out. Like
think
she cut out a flap and she had just put it down on the table.
okay.
She was writing on it.
It's not good. It's just not good. It's not a good sound.
Davey has something like that, but it's like when silverware clatters against
A
like
plate?
a plate on like when you're doing the dishes and stuff, that's kind of screech that it'll do accidentally. That gets him big time.
Was yours?
I don't really have one. I think maybe nails on chalkboard. I'm not super affected by that. I think if I was to hear it in the long run, like continuously, that would get to me. But just hearing like it happen accidentally or something like that, I'm okay.
Maybe it's your coffee machine gurgling when it's out of coffee. That's a horrible sound for you.
No, that's just the sound that I gotta get into gear and refill it.
Oh, okay. An
uh,
optimist. There's always more coffee.
there's always more coffee. I'm a glass half filled kind of gal. I
Half
can't
filled with
think of
coffee.
one. I can't think of one off the top of my head. It's
All right.
definitely not this. Not markers on cardboard.
All right.
That's pretty fun.
It is only acceptable if the marker is very wet
These
and is
are
gliding silently on a piece of paper.
a
Then that's
little
good.
okay. Yeah, that makes sense. But it's that screech that it does when you move it back and forth.
Yeah, when it's so dry and then the way it.
It's not it being dry. It's just kind of like that friction that it makes with the cardboard.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like that's when it starts making that sound. And that's when somebody is applying too much pressure on the marker.
Yeah, where that's what makes it right all dried out too.
This is very
When they ruin the
fascinating
stride.
discovery.
I didn't know it was a discovery. I thought everyone was gonna say, "Yeah, that totally sucks." It's like nails on chalkboard, but I guess not. I guess there's a whole fan base of hearing people ASMR their markers on cardboard for some
It's a
reason.
it's a thing. It's a thing. You know how it's like some people think cilantro tastes like soap and others taste cilantro? This is just one of those things. It's in our DNA.
I've never heard
Oh,
of
you
that.
know what? I remember I thought of mine. It's chewing sounds. I can't stand chewing sounds.
What about when you're eating honeycombs? Do you bother yourself?
Ah!
Yeah. What's with
Nope.
the yelling here? What's with the yelling?
I'm trying,
It's late.
I'm trying to drown you out so it doesn't get brought out.
What do you mean? I'll just mute you.
No.
I'll mute
You
the
know you
part
won't.
where you're
That's too much
speaking.
work. You won't do it.
I already said
No,
honeycomb.
That's all they need to know. I'm not talking about a crunch. I'm talking about a wet, sloppy chewing. I'm not even gonna do it because I hate it.
I'm not gonna do it either. I wouldn't torture you.
Thank you, thank you.
Plus, I'm not eating anything, so.
Plus, I think that's just a grosser sound to make on the mic. Just like that general like blech
Nah,
blech
I think the
chewing.
Sharpie's pretty gross. And for anybody who also
No,
has,
no. If you also are afflicted by Sharpie on
for anyone who has
cardboard
shivery
itis,
spine syndrome like I do,
send your send
yeah,
letters of brotherhood to Tony at elbownudgepod@gmail.com.
you are not alone. So your own mouth noises don't bother you?
I don't chew like that. I mean, the crunch was a one-time thing, and it was because I was engrossed in a story. But that was a crunch. That was a
Now you're
but
explaining. You're explaining it.
but this is like, and I don't chew like that, but I have heard people that chew like a cow, where it's just that like nah,
The
nah,
jaw
nah.
sway to left to right.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't like that one bit. Mm-mm.
Okay. So guys, just be careful when you're chewing and be careful with how you write on cardboard boxes. And we can
Please.
move on from this. So what were you saying about
You're
what
right.
was your next?
What did you think of like this whole, because I feel like this falls under stories. There's like a genre of movies. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's like, oh, this story would have easily been avoided if like this was clarified. Like if this at the beginning of the movie was not misunderstood, or if it was clarified, we wouldn't have had to go on this whole adventure. And that's what this movie does. It's because the toys accidentally end up in the trash can or in the trash bag and get thrown away, and they're like, Annie doesn't want us anymore.
It's the decom effect.
You're right. Yeah, it is the decom effect. I hadn't thought to label it that way.
But yeah, you're saying it could have ended
It could have just been
first
straightforward.
10 minutes.
Just put them in the attic, and then the world don't move to the beat of just one
Oh, well,
drum.
it would have ended at the garbage scene when Woody gets him out. And he says, "No, Andy was going to put you in the attic." Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
He does love us.
Just be like, oh, okay, we'll go chill in the attic then.
Yeah. But this goes back to what I was saying. In part 1, I was saying they never believe Woody, especially Mr. Potato Head.
Oh, we're back at this.
But I couldn't remember in part 2. In part 2, I don't think there really was a scene where they doubted Woody, right? Can you think of any?
No, they were trying to rescue him. And then once they rescued him, it was like, okay, Woody, you're coming with us, right?
Yeah,
Right?
so I was really just thinking of 1 and 2, and I mean 1 and 3, because in this one, they're like everyone's against him, really. But like Jesse doesn't believe him, Ham doesn't believe him. Buzz is kind of like, hey, this we got to do what's best for everybody. Even Slinky,
Slinky.
yeah,
This is an aside, but in the opening of the movie when they're looking at the wall measurements and it's Slinky and Slinky's butt,
yeah, Slinky's butt,
that's so cute.
yeah, yeah, good actor, Slinky's butt.
The best. But yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. Like this is just like a writing thing. This is just the decom effect, but I always have that in the back of my mind when I see a movie like this. Like this whole plot could have been avoided if they just understood, like if the misunderstanding didn't happen, but it did, and they ended up at Sunnyside. Now, this plot for Sunnyside to me is so genius. This whole like I guess kind of Godfather what like thing that they have going on at Sunnyside with Lotso, that is just wow. Wow. I
This
like
whole
it.
movie, it's wow for me. This whole movie is brilliant. I think it started from the beginning, Caroline. Starting from Mrs. Potato Head and her lost eye.
Oh
That's how much they're
yeah.
planning ahead.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Everything
yeah,
becomes full circle.
yes. But then yeah, at Sunnyside, Lotso, best villain.
Yes,
Best villain.
absolutely. Best villain.
Better than Mr. Potato Head.
Better than Mr. Potato Head, better than Sid, better than Stinky Pete,
Better than Sticky Pete.
and better than whatever we get in Toy Story 4. I
Better
don't
than
remember.
Lady.
What was her name?
Better than weird doll girl played by Christina Hendricks.
Was it really Christina Hendricks?
Yeah.
Wow.
But okay, so I like Lotso because yeah, I know what you're trying to say. Like I was saying a lot of this movie they're going for mob slash prison escape slash heist slash yeah, just straight up mafia kind of thing. And Lotso, I compare him to, you know, the governor in The Walking Dead.
No.
All right. Well, he's kind of played like this because Lasso's cute. He's cute. He's charming. He's very welcoming and warm.
He's a teddy bear. Yeah, he's got that whole thing going for him.
That's what makes him so good. He has that accent, you know, and then it's
Why, of
almost
course you could.
scary.
When he switches, he's like, "Why, of course you can come to the butterfly room, Buzz." And then, but you see, your friends have got to pay their time, their dues, and it's like, oh,
It's scary. It's scary how you can trust him until you can't. It's scary how you could trust him until you realize how dark he is. And that's what makes him the best. It's like
yeah,
everything he tells you is like, trust me, don't worry, you're good, you're good. Like, yeah, everyone has to earn their way up into the butterfly room. Everyone's gone through it, you know, but they're really in a bad place with a bad person at the helm. And I mentioned the governor. I won't get into too much details, but he's a villain in The Walking Dead very early on. I think like season 3, and he also has an accent too, southern accent, and he's kind of like that. He's just like this charming guy that you can rely on at first, but then yeah, then you realize he has like zombie heads in his closet and things like that. But anyways,
whoa.
but yeah, it's kind of like that.
Lotso is the best villain, just without a doubt. Even his villain origin story makes sense. That's really heartbreaking.
We get a villain origin story. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, yeah. With we talked about it, Stinky Pete. We don't really know why he doesn't want Woody to go back to Andy, or why he too doesn't just join the gang.
I
And
think your theory is spot on.
he wasn't
Because we know
invited.
that he's been mint, never removed from the box. So
But that wasn't like explained to us. This is just an assumption. This is just something that we're going off of a hunch. But this movie takes the time in Toy Story 3 to show us his backstory and why he is the way he is. And it is really sad. The whole, what was his kid's name? Daisy?
yeah, Daisy.
Daisy. That, I'm trying to remember what Chuckles said, where he's like, never more did a kid and a toy love each other, or something like that. Like,
Right.
and she left him on the side of the road, and they got her a new one. He was replaced, and that was so sad. That was just so, it inspired me to not Lotso my Jessie. I was really looking into getting a new Jessie doll, and then I was like, no, I won't do that to her.
Yeah, we caught that early on before we decided to do that.
I wanted to do that a while ago, before like even this podcast, because I had seen a Jessie doll at like a Target, and I was like, they made like a new Jessie, and this was around like, I think when Toy Story 4 was coming out. And um I looked at the toy at Target, and I was like, it's so pretty, and she has like real yarn hair. Like, I wonder what would happen if I got it. But then I thought, like, no, I have a Jessie doll at home, and like, she's mine. I was like, man, thank
Good
goodness
move.
I didn't Lotso my Jessie.
Good move.
Couldn't do it.
She would have never forgive you.
Yeah, no
She
way.
would have
She,
been the dawn of Sunnyside.
she would have been the dawn of my closet with all my other toys in their
You would have
bags.
locked her in there. Yeah,
Oh,
that's even worse. You would replace her while she's still there.
she's still here, yeah. She's like, what? I'm not even broken.
So since we're already in the scene, I gotta shout out my man Chuckles. Chuckles the clown.
I'm so glad I don't have to wait longer for this. Tony, everybody else doesn't know, but you have Chuckles as your icon. Why is that?
So he's the coolest character in the movie.
Cooler than Woody, cooler than Buzz, cooler than Ken,
Cooler than Lotso.
cooler than Lotso, cooler than
Well, Ken is groovy.
Oh, yes, he is. We'll get
Right?
to Ken later.
Yeah.
I love him. But
No,
okay.
there's no big story behind Chuckles. I just like the way he looks. He's just a sad clown and he's cute. But it was at this scene and the telephone toy scene. Those are the scenes that really make you feel like, dang, I'm watching like some
Heist.
mafia movie, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
right? Like so he comes up, he opens up like, yeah, I knew Lotso. And then his recap is funny because he's like, let's go. They replaced us. He's like, she only replaced you. Like he has such a squeaky little voice. It's like, what happened since then? Chuckles, what happened? His voice is squeaky and loud, and then
That's what happens when life gets you down. He's like, I like the scene where what's the name of that like hedgehog looking toy?
oh, I
Uh
forgot the theater, like the theater toy.
yes. I can't remember his name. But he's like, what happened to Lotso? Chuckles will tell you. I love that. I love that.
I also like I like it's such a classic thing where they ask him, how did you get out? How did he leave Sunnyside? He's like, well, I was injured. Bonnie took me to fix me up. I got lucky. like this is like a war. It's like a war reference, right? Like he lost a limb or something. He's like, I got lucky because I got injured.
It is like one of like these prison break films where it's like I got out in '85.
Mm-hmm. And the telephone toy. First of all, I
Oh
didn't realize until this viewing, he was trying to warn Woody as soon as they got there. I didn't know he was the first toy that went up to him.
yeah.
And he's like, "How you doing, buddy?" But he didn't get a chance to do anything, to say anything. But yeah, when he comes back, he tells him, "You shouldn't have come back, cowboy." I'm like, "Oh, this is good, man. This is good."
And when they reveal him over the trash can, he's like, "Sorry, they broke me."
Yeah, they broke it. Yeah,
And his mouth is like kind of scrubbed off, like they hit him or something there. And I was like, "No,
and he mentioned like, "Oh, they won't break me." Like I've
they
been
have
here for
they
years.
haven't broken me yet, and I've been here for
Yeah,
years." It's like, no. I also found the name of the toy. His name is Mr. Prickle Pants.
the
The little
hedgehog.
hedgehog? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Who was the unicorn?
The unicorn is Buttercup.
I love how they're treating it like improv.
Yeah.
They're like, like, stay loose, relax, you're doing great. Like, it's lines you would hear in like an improv class.
Next season, we're doing cats.
Yeah.
Might I suggest Hamlet?
What else they say where, oh, yeah, they're like, oh, you're a natural. Have you done this before? And he's like, guys, how do I get out of here? Like, Woody's so good at this. He's an expert.
Oh,
He's been
come
around
on.
a while.
Yeah, I mean, he's a professional.
Yeah.
But I love that. They were like, is this your first, like, this isn't your first tea time.
So let's jump a little bit to the beginning too, because there's the scene we brought up before, the phone scene.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to bring up some good moments that we went over. Calling Andy, and then
Oh,
Woody
oh,
hearing his voice probably for the first time in years. Well, he says he literally hasn't been played with in years. They're probably in that chest every night for years.
yep.
And then just the way that he holds the phone, and like he might want to say something, and he should, or he shouldn't, but he should. And then the scene where Bonnie, now back in Bonnie's room, the scene where Bonnie's finally playing with Woody and all of her toys.
And he feels that
Love.
feeling of being alive again.
It's amazing how his face never changes, but you can
You
tell.
can tell, like, I was right before we started talking, like before recording, I was watching Toy Story 3 and I was looking at that in the kind of recap home video portion when the camera kind of stays on Woody when it's that part that's like, our friendship will never die. And you can tell, like, I don't know how the Pixar animators do it, or maybe it's just us because we grew up watching and we know Woody and everything, but you really can tell when he's happy in his toy form, when he's feeling that joy of being a toy. And you see that a little bit in the beginning with Andy as a kid, and then you see that again. He's feeling it again with Bonnie.
I want to use this opportunity to tell every story writer, director, filmmaker, storyteller that you can express emotions with helmets on, with masks on, with toys, with
Is this your
expressionless
way of
faces.
telling somebody that Mandalorian can keep his helmet on?
Mandalorian, never take your helmet off. Boba Fett, never take your helmet off. Master Chief, never take your helmet off. We don't need to see your face. Look at
we
Woody. We know how he feels.
Facts. All facts. No printer. Bam.
But this isn't an animation thing. It's not an animation thing or like a filmmaking thing. I think it's just a human thing where you can understand, you can read the room, you can understand the situation. And when you look at an expressionless face or a helmet, it just changes for some reason. You see it and you could tell they're sad, they're happy, they're traumatized, they're excited, whatever. You could just tell. I think we just put that, like, we create that in our minds, because there's no way that they could reanimate Woody's face to make it a little bit, I don't know, like it's just how he always looks when he's playing dead. That's how he always looks.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't look any happier, but we knew he was so happy to finally be played.
Yep. Yep. Wow. And one of the things I like about this movie is the way that they separate Woody from the gang. Because also, like you said, they never believe him from Toy Story 1 to Toy Story 3. And we're kind of seeing that a little bit where they're all like, man, I wish Woody was here. Like, Woody wouldn't have let this happen or something. Like, we see what happens when the group gets separated. And it's really interesting how that dynamic works. How Woody was like, I'm going back to Andy. And they're like, okay, bye. And then the Sunnyside horrors start with, but this is another aside. Those kids in the caterpillar room, someone got to teach them how to play with toys. That is just, they were using My Girl Jessie to paint green paint.
That worried me the most. Her yarn hair.
I never wanted to smack a child more than when I saw that. I was
Oh
like,
wow.
ugh, get your hands off her. Just
I'm
no.
surprised her hair came out clean by the end, because that was a lot of paint.
The power of that water hose, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You had to power wash her.
But yeah, those kids, that's like, they found the worst group of kids
I really thought
imaginable.
that Buzz Lightyear's little dome was gonna crack or something. Like they were gonna break it.
I was thinking that too. I'm like, please don't break them beyond repair. We
Do,
need to keep them intact.
do not damage them.
Mr. Potato Head, he'll be fine.
He can lose all his parts.
Yeah.
But man, separating Woody was a really smart choice for this story because then we got to see him like it, and it's so funny how they're struggling, they get thrown in like prison, like this jail cell with the containers. Woody comes back and they're already escaping in one go. I think that really attests to his planning power.
That was so, like, motivational. It's so weird, but he came back and he's like, like, everybody's so happy that Woody's back, and then Jesse says, "We got to get you back to
Andy, he's leaving
Andy."
tomorrow.
Yeah, and he's like, "That's why we're breaking out tonight." Like, dang, Woody. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Woody is such a good leader.
Yes, he is. It's just in him. He is one of the best leaders in movies. Captain America has things to learn from Woody. And I'm
Hold
not
on, Caroline.
afraid to
Hold on
say it.
now.
I'm
Hold
not
on.
afraid to say it.
Hold on
Civil
now.
War would not have happened if
Gosh, she
Woody
doesn't know
was
what
in
she's talking about.
charge.
Hold on, hold
It
on.
would not happen if Woody was in charge.
Woody would be on Team Cap.
This is not about which team he'd be on. There wouldn't be no team versus team. He would keep the gang together.
All right, let's not get carried away. But let's start. I wanted to bring up in the beginning when they did the whole phone stunt, right? And it didn't work. And then
Mhm.
they're calling it off. And then he's like, all right, hold on, staff meeting. And the morale is bottom,
Low.
at the very bottom.
Even like when he looks around and sees that there's not a lot of them anymore. Most of the toys have been.
Isn't that so sad?
That's so sad.
He
When
said, all right, Slinky, gather everyone. This
This
is
is
everyone.
everyone. Like, oh,
I have a question about that, but let me finish the leader thing. I think Woody and Buzz brings it up too, but he's staying positive and he's saying like, "Come on, we'll be in the attic for Andy, and he'll bust us out and play every once in a while, and it'll be fun up there." Blah blah blah. He keeps it positive, and then Buzz comes up to him and he says, "So you think everything's gonna be fine?" He's like, "What else can I say?" Like Woody feels just as down as everyone else, but he's the leader of the gang. He has to keep the morale up.
exactly. He's got to put on his brave face. He is the embodiment of that scene in was it Endgame or Infinity War? Where he's like Rocket, the all right, time to be the captain. Like
Yep.
that's him.
Time to be
That's
sheriff.
time to be sheriff. Time to be leader.
So I think he's always been the natural leader, but that's just another trait of a good leader. Like
Yeah.
he's gonna figure it out, but for now he's not gonna be adding on to the misery. Like he's gonna find the way out. He said, we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to ask. We know what happened in Toy Story 4, but when this movie was made, Toy Story 4 was not in the cards at all.
Yeah.
So why was Bo Peep not here?
It's alluded to that she was sold, I think, in like a yard sale.
Yeah, they said they named Bo Peep, they named Etch and Sketch, and they named RC, I think.
Yeah.
And at this point, I guess we just have to assume they all got sold.
They all got sold or given away or, yard sale kind of thing. Or I wonder if they've lived through any toys being thrown away.
Oh, and Wheezy. No, he actually said Wheezy.
Yeah, Wheezy. Wheezy's in the movie at the very beginning in that movie scene when they're all watching a movie.
Yeah.
He's in the front.
But I guess I was just thinking outside the movie, why would they remove Bo? Why would they remove Well, I know like Etch and Sketch, I guess wasn't too much of a big deal, but I was thinking, why would Bo Peep not be there? She could have been part of the whole Sunny Side escape and things like that.
I know this movie was planned to be the last movie, and Toy Story 4 didn't really come into development until because after this movie, they made a series of shorts. And this movie, along with the shorts, were so popular, Pixar was like, we'll do a Toy Story 4. Like, we'll do one more. And that's where they brought in the Bo Peep thing. But I think that they just wanted to keep the toys to like the essential toys. And by that, I mean like they wanted to really narrow down and show the morale of these toys from the get go, where it's like, it's just these toys. These are his favorites. These are the ones he's kept throughout the years, and that's it.
Yeah, that's the way I felt too. Like this is narrowing it down to just the most important ones. But I thought Bo Peep would have made it. Would
But
have
she's
been part of
she's
that list.
she's not really a toy though. She's like a porcelain figure that was on a lamp, and
Hold
Andy
on
would
now.
just
Hold on
use
now.
her.
We went over this
Well,
already.
I mean, like her intended use, her intended
Hold on
create.
now.
I know we talked about this. If you play with it,
Hold
it's a
on.
toy. I know, I get it. But I'm
If you
saying
love it and play with it, according to you,
it's a
if
toy.
you love it and play with it,
I'm
it's a toy.
not arguing that factor. I'm just saying within this realm of Toy Story, uh, she's part of a lamp. So you would think that as he gets older, and then the mom, that I think that it like the lore, I've only seen or heard like rumors or hearsay from other people, but they say that Bo Peep like belonged to Andy's mom or something, and that's why she was part of a lamp. So that would explain why she was one of the ones that gets like picked up and sold.
Ham is a piggy bank.
He is a piggy bank, but he's like in Andy's mind, that was his evil emperor.
All right. I mean, we don't see that much of Bo, but I feel like her being Woody's love interest.
We should see a little more of
Yeah, and especially after what they decided to do with Toy Story 4,
her.
right?
Yeah. Nah. Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, just want to see what you thought about that. But yeah, back to Sunnyside.
Can we talk about Ken?
Let's talk about Ken.
I love Ken. I love Ken so much. Everything about him is so funny. He's played by Michael Keaton. That's also like another layer of hilariousness.
I was just gonna say, I only discovered just today that he was voiced by Michael Keaton, and my mind is
Yeah.
blown. There, talk about somebody who disappears into the character. I do not hear Michael Keaton in Ken's voice.
I don't either. Like that's like the mind-boggling part is I do not hear it. It's kind of higher pitched than what I'm used to hearing from Michael Keaton. And I grew up with the Barbie movies and it sounded like Ken. I thought they picked one of the voice actors who played Ken in the Barbie movies, but it's not. It's Michael Keaton and Jodie Benson is Barbie again from like Toy Story 2 when she was
They got to
the
keep her.
I'm tour guide Barbie. Like she's back and she's Barbie.
Yeah, of course they got to keep her.
Barbie, just as another side of it, Barbie is so funny. I audibly gasped when was her name Molly, the little sister, gets Barbie and puts her in the donate box, and then from the toy chest you hear, "Poor Barbie." I was like, "Oh my gosh, she just threw her in."
This is another one where I thought it was so smart to set up Barbie with Ken.
Yep.
That whole story is important for it to play out and the way it played out.
Oh, the scene where he is like, "Welcome to Sunnyside," and then it's her. Oh, I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah. What's the song? Like the Dreamer?
I
Or
think
I don't know what
it.
it's
It was so perfect. So she's like, "Nice ascot."
Yeah, he was saying this is did he call it Ken's dream house or did he just say my dream house?
Oh, I can't remember. Either one I think is correct, but I think it is like, "Welcome to my dream house." 'Cause did it have a
Ken
K
doesn't
on the
have
door?
it does have a K. That's what I was gonna bring up.
It's gotta be Ken's dream house. Was there an actual Ken's dream house?
I don't think so. I
Hang
thought it was
on.
Barbie's dream house.
I had Barbie's dream house. I know that he had a dream like, she
It
had a
doesn't have
dream
that
house,
much
but
space, does it? Like that big wardrobe room.
I'm trying to find, like, a picture of it.
But
They
yeah,
didn't
it was definitely his dream house. It had a K on it.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, it's not pink, it's yellow and purple. They Okay, so I'm not seeing any record of there being an actual Ken's dream house, but it's a little interesting. Why would the Sunnyside have Ken's dream house too? That's really a niche find, but okay.
How did
Okay.
Ken make it to the Lotso gang? How did he survive the
Becau
caterpillar room and
He's
become
got
a Lotso gang?
opposable Oh, no, he doesn't have opposable thumbs. He's got limbs. He's
He
got
can't
a
bend them.
Yeah, he can't. I don't know. He made his way up. I like I love all his outfits. I love when he has the fashion show with Barbie and he's showing her all the outfits. One of my favorite scenes is when Barbie is impersonating him and goes
The
to
astronaut suit.
the librarian and she's wearing the astronaut suit and she's walking away and the librarian looks and sees the heels and
Yeesh.
goes, "Yeesh."
That is just I love things like that. I love that is a great thought out plan. Like, all right, then Barbie, you're gonna
You're gonna
sneak in as
seduce
Ken.
Ken.
Yeah,
The
you're
whole
gonna
like what was it when she's like, "What did they do to Buzz?" and she's tied him up and she's ripping his clothes.
yeah, tied him
Oh
up
my
in a ping pong paddle ball.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, so smart. So smart.
You're gonna feed Ken's ego, okay? You're gonna watch him dress into 30 different outfits. It's not gonna take very much work. He'll insist on
just a little bit allude that you want to see his
it.
outfits and
Yeah.
that's it. You're in.
Then you can stay quiet for the next 30 minutes.
Enjoy the
That was
fashion
great.
show.
That was great. And she was an important component to this prison escape.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He is one of my out of the new characters that were introduced. I think he's my favorite of the new ones. Is I think he's so funny at the end when they're writing their letter, and I think it's Buzz who goes like, "Wow, this Barbie has some really nice handwriting," and then it scrolls down and there's the big
Yeah.
glittery Ken, and they look at each other like,
It's really good.
It's so funny. He is so funny. He's like, I am not a girl's toy.
See, this is what I was saying, probably in the Toy Story 2 conversation. Yeah, it had to have been 2 because that's when Barbie was first introduced. I think these toys in Toy Story have ascended to that Barbie level. Like I feel like they're in this iconic movie, and this movie isn't like riding off of their success of Barbie and Ken. This movie stands on its own, and they're like along for the ride. That's the way that I see it.
Yeah, I think the way I would put it is that because for the first Toy Story, they were trying to get all these toy makers to, sign in their IPs with this movie so that way they could use their toys. But they were like, no, no, we don't really know you. That's not the case anymore. Toy Story is a staple film, hugely popular and successful, and Toy Story 3 is using that to their advantage. I don't know of any toy maker who would not want their movie in a Toy Story. Like that's just the big thing. So for this movie, you're able to see a bunch of different toys represented from like I think the baby is supposed to be like of course like your standard baby toy, but then like Lotso is supposed to be a play on a Care Bear. And then you have like Barbie and Ken, and you have all of these like just iconic toys now in the background. Even like Totoro is in there, like the Totoro plush from Studio
Yeah, that
Ghibli.
you showed me in the Toy Story 2
Yeah.
discussion. Yeah.
Yeah. And so now Toy Story 3 is able to use all of these classic toys in their movie. They don't have to worry about like, oh, this movie doesn't want their toy in here. Like they're able to just pull from all of these classic toys. And that is so cool.
The way it hit me is when they were in the box to be donated to Sunnyside, and then Barbie's in there crying and trying to come to grips with her being donated.
Mhm.
It you would imagine with how popular Barbie is, this scene should look like if it was superheroes, right? Like let's say I came up with 5 random lame superheroes and I somehow contacted Marvel and they're like, "Oh yeah, you can use Iron Man, sure." And then I make a movie with my lame 5 superheroes and then Iron Man is standing right next to them. It's like, okay, one is not like the other. But when I see her here, I feel like she just blends in so naturally with everyone else. It's not like a huge superstar special guest in this movie. This isn't like the Barbie and Ken movie. This is Toy Story with them just a part of it.
You're right, you're right. That's a really good way to put it. And I love the impact they have on the story. They're not even like little asides too. It's like, no, we're gonna use Barbie and Ken, and we're gonna use it pretty well.
Right.
She doesn't even leave. Like she's helping them escape, and she doesn't escape. She just stays with Ken.
Yeah, especially like that she stood up for them.
Yeah, she's like, they're my friends, and she puts herself in
She
prison.
willingly went to get locked up because of
Yep.
that.
She was like, and Ken is like, Barbie, Barbie, no, it's not what it looks like. I love them. I love them so much. For them not being in Toy Story 2, they blend in, just as you said, they blend in so perfectly. You would not have thought that. Like, with Jessie, we had to establish her in Toy Story 2, Jessie and Bullseye. But in Toy Story 3, we saw Barbie as tour guide Barbie, but in this one, she's like, I don't know, 80s exercise Barbie. And
Yeah.
she blends in perfectly. She just fits in with the gang.
So I was gonna say, I wanted to ask you about because I feel like one of the moments that you can really dissect is when they first get to Sunnyside, and then the split occurs, the civil war
Oh
occurs.
yeah, yeah, you're right.
Are you team Andy or team Sunnyside?
It's rough. I understand why Woody left because he was the one that Andy was taking to college, but for the other toys, either way, thrown away or they would have just been cooped up in the attic. At least like at Sunnyside, they would be played with. But obviously like knowing what their future entails, I wouldn't have said Sunnyside, but just from the
But yeah,
face
ignoring
value,
that, of course,
yeah,
ignoring that.
from the face value choice, I do understand why they want to stay and why Woody would go.
I felt like that was a really tough decision. because again, Woody is relentlessly loyal to Andy.
Oh
He's gonna
yeah.
be there for him no matter what, and he thinks everyone thinks the same way or should think the same way. And he's saying if he wants us in the attic, then we got to be there for him in the attic. And it doesn't even make sense, but that's the way that he,
That's how he rationalizes it.
yeah, he's saying that's where Andy put us, so that's where we got to be. And Andy's not even going to be at home anymore, but that's him supporting Andy. And then of course, Jesse and Buzz's side of it is that's it. The mission's over.
Yeah,
Now we have to stick together.
they've been with their kid as long as their kids needed them, and now it's time to move on.
Yeah, so was Woody hanging on too long?
It's a little different because Woody and Andy have that special connection. That's Andy's favorite toy. He was gonna take Woody to college. So that's another thing that Woody is holding on to. Like, Andy still needs me because he put me in the college box. He doesn't want to let me go.
So it was like easy for him to say,
It's
just
easy
like
for
Mr. Potato Head said,
yeah, it is easy for
college
him to
boy.
say, yeah, because he's gonna go to college with Andy, but for the rest of them, that's rough. They would have just been cooped up in the attic. And that's no life for a toy.
But then what do you think about what Mrs. Potato Head sees, where he was just so distraught when he couldn't find them in the attic or in the room? What do you think about that?
I think that's part of their loyalty to Andy, where they were like, oh, he didn't. Because they're going under the assumption that he meant to throw them away. And I think that when Mrs. Potato Head sees him distraught and tells him like, Woody was right, Andy meant to put us in the attic. He still wants us. That like kind of gets them like our kid never wanted to get rid of us. He still wanted to hold on to us. And then they get like that same kind of attitude as Woody, like, we got to get back to our kid.
Yeah, but does that change your opinion on it? Should they have the rest of their life be in the attic?
No, and I think that that's why the finale of this movie works because Andy realizes that too. Or at least like I don't know what Woody wrote on the note at the end, but that's what Andy realizes. Like, you know what? Should I really leave my toys just in the attic up there collecting dust, or should I give them to somebody who will play? Because you can't be at Sunnyside. That's too many kids, too many hands. You should at least pass them down. So that's why I'm satisfied with like this ending.
Real quick, for that note that he wrote, he was being very risky writing it right in
Oh
the
yeah.
open door
Oh yeah.
with everyone there.
Anybody could just glanced over and Woody?
Their peripheral vision should have seen a toy moving, but I guess not.
I guess they were just focused on each other, Andy and his mom.
Well, at least we know. I know for sure he wrote Bonnie's address. I don't know if he wrote anything else. I don't know if he wrote donate and then Bonnie's address, or I don't know if he wrote Bonnie and then her address.
Or Bonnie question mark?
No, he wouldn't know. He wouldn't know who Bonnie is. He definitely wrote the address and he wrote donate or
Because didn't Andy go and say, "Are you Bonnie?"
so he had to wrote Bonnie, right?
Yeah.
So he probably wrote donate to Bonnie and then the address underneath.
Do you think the address would have fit on that little postcard?
He probably had fine print handwriting.
How do you feel about the marker sounds on the postcard? On the little
It was
post-it?
fine. It was fine. On the cardboard, it gets rough.
mm, mm. But yeah, he would have had to have written like Bonnie question mark or give to Bonnie question mark.
Yeah, give to Bonnie or donate to Bonnie because he just says, "You really want me to donate these?"
Yeah,
He's like, "It's up to
yeah.
you. That's
I
all you."
I think their ending was fitting. I think that was the best outcome for them. I wouldn't have wanted them to be donated to Sunnyside. But I would not want them to stay in the attic. Yes, that's where Andy wanted to place them originally, like waiting for him, but that would have just they've already gone how many years without being played with. They deserve to be with the kid that's gonna play with them.
But if you think about it, the new cool and groovy Sunnyside would be the best spot for them because then they're just going to go through, again, ignoring Toy Story 4. They're just going to go through the same thing. Bonnie's going to grow up. She's going to get married, go to college.
We need a Toy
Same
Story 5.
process. No, we did not need it. We don't even need a 4.
Did you know that Toy Story 5 is a possibility?
Was Pixar's Twitter so I could tell them no?
No, I want them to do it. I don't. This is already a spoiler for my opinions on 4, but I want a Toy Story 5. I
No,
I'm
another
not
sequel just to fix
I'm not
a movie.
satisfied with Toy Story 4. We need to Rise of Skywalker this movie.
So make the franchise worse? That's what we need to do?
No, I mean, we need to retcon some of this stuff. We need to fix it.
No, 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 no. We are no. No. We
We need to
cannot Star
fix
Wars.
it. We need to get Woody back with the gang. We need to not have this happen. We need to fix this
You know how you
ever-growing
fix it? You leave
cycle
it
of
alone.
issues with him and Bonnie. We need to stop it. I need to make sure they're happy.
You leave it alone, Caroline. You don't fix it by adding
I'm not satisfied
more
with that.
more bad movies.
Nonsense. With Pixar, it's not going to be a bad movie, even though we did get Toy Story 4, which is kind of, but still.
Is Pixar still making classics? I mean,
Coco was pretty good.
that was 2016, correct?
Oh my gosh, you just aged me. That was 2016?
Well, I'm asking you, was it 2016?
2017.
2017.
Wow.
I don't know.
That's
What
a
did we think
classic.
about Turning Red? Is it a classic?
That is the question, isn't it?
What did we think about Lightyear? Oh,
Oh,
no spoilers.
find out next week, everybody.
Yeah. We have the knowledge of Lightyear.
We
We've
do.
both seen it at this point.
We have, but we will not talk about it until next week.
Right. But no, Caroline, that's a terrible idea.
No, it's not. Get into it. I will get into it more in our Toy Story 4 episode, but just for now, I'll leave y'all with this thought that
No, we
I
don't have
want
to talk about any
a Toy
movie.
Story 5.
We don't have to talk about movie details. I'm saying, no, you can't make another movie to fix the movie before. That movie exists forever. It's going to be what it is.
Okay,
You
I was
can't do that.
exaggerating when I said like retcon everything. I don't mean that, but I mean like
I know you don't mean retcon.
I mean
I know you don't mean Rise of Skywalker. That's crazy.
I mean I don't like where things have ended up, and I want some more closure to this. I don't like it.
So what can they do with 5 that would make it good?
I really just want Woody to go back with the gang. I know this is kind of spoiler territory for our Toy Story 4 episode, but like I in Toy Story 3, we see how good everybody is as a team. And even Woody chooses to be with them over Andy. Like think about that impact of Andy was going to take him to college and he was going to be able to be with Andy, but that also would have meant that he was separated from the gang that needs him. And so he picks the gang over Andy. He chooses to stay with them and continue to lead them. And then Toy Story 4 happens where he leaves them. And that just breaks my heart. That is like the retcon for this because we see
Woody was always willing to do that. He was going to do that in Toy Story 2. He was going to leave Andy's room.
He never like sticks with it. He remembers how much they need him, how much he loves them, and he chooses them every time.
I'm not defending Toy Story 4. I don't want that ending either. This is my ending, Toy Story 3.
I agree. I would have liked it if it just ended here at 3.
But this is what I brought up in Toy Story 2. Like, Woody was ready to leave Andy and Buzz and Rex and Mr. Potato Head. He was ready to leave them. If they never found out if they never did all of their detective work, to find out the license plate, Al's Toy Barn, his building, all that. If they never did that, Woody would be in Japan in a museum.
He wouldn't have been happy being behind a glass.
He wouldn't have been, but he would have committed to that. He would that's what Jesse, Stinky Pete, and Bullseye wanted, and he was ready to accept that. He's like, I can't break up the gang, and he was gonna leave.
But it was his decision not to. It's just
Caroline, you ignored the part if Buzz and Rex and none of them got to them.
You're ignoring the part that he decided to go back.
He decided to go back because he was confronted. Like he saw the toys he was gonna leave, but if they never showed up, he would have left.
Yeah, but he did.
We're talking in circles now, but you see how Toy Story 4 makes sense with how Woody would make that decision because he was gonna make that decision in part 2. Can you stop? Can you stop? What kind of childish tactics exist? We're talking like adults. Okay, I'm taking off my headphones. This is horrible. This is horrible. For the best Toy Story movie, we're having a marker ASMR.
It's he doesn't leave them. Like that's the thing is he's thought about it. Even in Toy Story 3 in this movie, he's like, okay, I'm going with Andy. Y'all stay here. And then he realizes they need him. And he goes back because he doesn't abandon his friends. And in Toy Story 4, he abandons his friends. It's just.
But again, I'm saying in Toy Story 2, he was fully ready to leave them. And the only reason he doesn't is because they managed through many smart detective moves to find where he's at to save him. But if they never did all that, if Buzz never put in all that legwork, he was ready to go. He was laying in a shipping foam container
But
ready
he
to
is
go.
making a mistake by doing that. And that's why Buzz went
Of
to
course,
get him.
that's our opinion, and I agree. He is making a mistake, but I'm saying Woody is capable and was fully ready to leave those toys
He was making a
and Andy.
mistake when he did that, and he's making a mistake in Toy Story 4 when he does that. Those are both mistakes.
Of course, that's not the conversation.
Is
Right now,
it?
we're saying that he's capable of it, and he was ready to do it before, and he actually did it in Toy Story 4.
It's a mistake.
Yes, it
That was a
is.
mistake.
It is. But I'm saying it's in his character to do it.
Woody has a tendency to really belittle his necessity with the gang. He doesn't realize how much they need him until they need him. And he's like, I gotta go help him.
I agree. I definitely agree. And that's why I brought it up. Is like, when does he prioritize Andy and when does he prioritize his friends?
We see that in this one. He finally made that call and put his friends over Andy.
Yeah.
That was a really sad scene when I get choked up even right now just thinking about it. I think my throat's getting a little when Bonnie goes like my cowboy and she tries to pull him and Andy pulls it back like no, he's mine. Oh, that hits like a ton of bricks right in the
And she
feels.
even says there's a snake in my boot.
There's a snake in my boot.
And luckily, when he pulls the string, that's exactly the phrase that came up.
Woody controls that, right? So he knew he was like, "Yep, there's a snake in my
That's
boot."
a good question. Does he control that? I
He
don't.
does in Toy
I
Story 1 with Sid. We don't like the way you've been handling your toys,
He can
Sid.
control his voice to sound like that, but when the pull string gets pulled, I think is random every time.
I think he can control
Or
it.
else he wouldn't say anything, right? He wouldn't have to say anything.
I think he can control it a little bit.
So why didn't he control it when his pull string got pulled and what's his name? What's the dog's name? Sid's dog's name. When
Scud, Scud.
Yeah, yeah.
I listen. He can control what he says, not if
Not
he
whether
says
it's
it.
on mute or not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He can't mute himself, but he can control what he says. This is my Woody headcanon right now.
No, I think it's randomized. I think he could make his voice sound like it's coming from the voice box, like he did literally for Sid. But when it's pulled, I think it's always a new phrase every time.
There's a snake in my boot.
Yeah.
That was a cute scene. And Andy being unwilling to give him up just made it even more heart wrenching.
So since we're talking about that scene already, this is the end game scene.
When he's playing with them again with Bonnie.
Well,
When
before that, the introduction, that's the end game farewell. That's the
you're right.
signatures at the
You're
end.
right.
He pulls out Jesse and he says, "This is the roughest, toughest cowgirl in the
Cowgirl in the
like
wild,
they're
wild
all
west.
getting there for their farewell. They're like is an introduction, but is also a goodbye. Like these are the characters we followed throughout this whole
The
franchise.
evil Dr. Porkchop.
Yeah. That was so smart. It was literally like I felt like Pixar was saying, these are the characters you love. This is what they were about. And then Woody, he obviously got the best one. That he'll never give up on you. Ever.
Aw. Oh,
And it's so true.
I'm getting emotional. Wow.
So was this movie? I mean, was this scene? Because there's a lot of sad scenes in this movie, but I think the two biggest ones, and you tell me if I'm wrong, is this one and the incinerator.
Ooh.
Is it those for you or is it different ones for you?
I'm thinking right now, is the incinerator scene sadder than Lotso's villain origin story? Because I think that one's really sad. Especially like it's raining and seeing the girl
They
you
walked
love.
countless miles.
They walk, yeah, like he tells Chuckles tells that whole story of like after countless miles and a whole adventure to get back to see them replaced. That was pretty sad. But the incinerator one was definitely, I don't know if, would you consider that sad or more of like on the edge of your seat? Because they were like holding hands, they were ready to die.
That was the saddest moment for me.
Wow.
Every time I watch it, since I saw it in theaters, so now that's the saddest moment for me.
My saddest moment is still the end, like the end game moment with playing with them again and leaving them and the so long partner. That is number one. But yeah, the incinerator scene definitely, I don't know if I was sad. I think I was on the edge of my seat because I was like, what, how are they gonna get out of this one? But I don't think it was sad for me.
For me, it was that, like, how are they gonna get out of this one? Because I assume we all kind of watch the movies, like movies in general, the same way, right? Like, if you're ever watching a scene where someone needs saving or they're trapped or they're in immediate danger, you're immediately thinking, what's going to happen? Who could save them? How are they going to get out? Right. And that's everything I'm thinking for this scene. Like, all right, maybe if they just crawl a little bit faster, they can outpace all the garbage pushing them down, or like maybe Buzz can fly out of there. I don't know. Like, how are they going to save themselves? But then they stop for the first time in all three movies. It looks hopeless. And they just start grabbing each other's hands. And then once is Woody, like he's the last one trying for like to the very last moment. He's trying to get out of there. And then he looks up and see everyone has already accepted this. This is our final moment. And then he accepts it too with them. And that is absolutely the saddest moment for me. And I couldn't think at all, like, no, there's no way out. They're actually going to die. I'm going to see my favorite toys die on screen right now.
Whoa.
And then the claw.
The claw.
That was so beautiful. It was like the roller coaster of the super low of I'm ready to watch him die to boom, saved out of nowhere. That was amazing. I love how they quickly got dispatched in the beginning. You completely forget about the aliens, and then boom, they come swoop right in to save them.
Yeah, it was another one of those like Mrs. Potato Head's eye. You know, you just like, oh yeah, they're there.
Yeah.
Also, Lotso, just he really is a true villain. They went out of their way and rescued him, and then he leaves them behind to die. Like what? Wow. No,
He's
no
horrible.
heart. No heart. This teddy bear has no heart.
But again, it just goes to show a good moment with Woody. Like,
Yeah.
he went down to save him when he didn't have to. That's amazing. And then I love how Buzz went down to back him
Yes.
up.
Oh, Buzz. Buzz in this movie is so great. I love Spanish Buzz the whole time. I think that was the hardest I've laughed in theaters. I remember that he just cracked me up.
This isn't even like a criticism of it or whatever, but I did want him to be himself for a little bit longer. I feel like, you know, he was himself when he got hit by the big old tube TV or whatever.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But I wanted him to be there for the heist. I really wish he could have been, like, he knew he was in on the plan, you know, but he was out for a while. He was the demo Buzz, and then Spanish Buzz, and then finally back in time to help out for the incinerator scene or leading up to that.
It's part of that whole fish out of water story that they like to put him through.
Yeah, 3 times now.
And
I don't remember if they do it for 4.
I don't remember. They don't really come out a lot in 4. Every now and then they have like quick shoot back to them scenes because primarily focuses on Woody and Bo. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely in 1, 2, and 3. And I loved it. I love that he's kind of like he's in the plans because it's like, okay, we got to get like part of that plan, like besides to like escape, is okay, we got to get Buzz and reprogram him. We got to get him back to normal. And the whole what was it when they I like his face when they're trying to reset him and they're switching it back and forth and you see him go like, "Where?" And then he comes back a Spanish Buzz.
Spanish mode.
I know about Buzz's Spanish mode.
I just like, and this has always been the way he looks, but I never mentioned it. But I just really like how his eyebrow is always up.
Yeah.
Like,
He's got a permanent Dwayne The Rock Johnson eyebrow.
yeah, it's funny.
His the line that I really like of his in this movie is when he's like with Jesse and Jesse runs to give Woody a hug. And he goes like, El vaquero.
Yeah, the cowboy. I was thinking
uh,
about how that scene plays out in Spanish speaking countries. Like the whole movie's in Spanish, so when he's in Spanish mode, he's just what is that?
I
Does
wonder
he go
if
to
they
English mode?
I wonder if they dub over him. Like, does his language change with the movie? Like, if you're in Spanish, does it change to I don't know, English or Portuguese or
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, does he speak English and does he have English mode
but
in
does
Spanish?
but then like the movie it like says it's Spanish because at the end you have that hay un amigo en me.
Yeah, I don't know, but these movies tend to do that. I don't know if Pixar was already doing this back in 2010, but you know how they, for like different countries, they would switch things up just a bit, kind of like little Easter eggs.
Let's see. Oh wow. Okay, so in Spanish versions of the film, during Buzz's Spanish mode, he continues to speak Spanish rather than speaking a different language, such as English. However, he has differential accents and dialects depending on where the movie is played. For example, in Latin America, normal Buzz uses the local Latin American Spanish, such as regular, like Mexican Spanish. But when he converts to Spanish mode, he uses Castilian Spanish, which is from Spain.
I wonder why they decided to keep it like that, as opposed to changing the language.
They wanted everybody in the audience to kind of be like, oh, okay, he's speaking differently, but still Latin.
Huh? Well, good to know anyway.
That answers that question. I'm surprised somebody has an answer to that. That's interesting. Hay un amigo en mí.
It had to be something clever like that.
But yeah, the bonk on the head though, that was an interesting resolution. Just him getting smashed with a TV. I was like, we're gonna just okay, we're good.
I feel like they've done that before, right?
What the
Getting hit on the head kind of snaps you out of it.
in a Pixar in Toy Story though? Have they?
I I don't remember. I thought they did.
I don't remember. But did you know that I'm gonna shift gears a little bit because I have this list, um this doc of mine. Did you know Chuckles makes an appearance in Toy Story 1? Albeit it's kind of a small reference, but this is where the animators for Toy Story 3 went back to the first two Toy Stories and started pulling inspo from there. And they got inspo from for Chuckles from can I post this picture? Come on. I'm getting a little computer error here. Okay. Do you remember the birthday scene in Toy Story 1?
Yeah.
So right here, Chuckles is seen on the wrapping paper.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, clown wrapping paper.
So that is where when the animators went back and they started kind of combing through the first two movies, they saw that and they thought, okay, we'll make a little toy clown. And that's where Chuckles came from.
Is there anything else they pulled from 1 or 2?
Mm,
We saw Jesse's hat again. Andy wearing
The
Jesse's hat in the
in,
video.
yeah, yeah. In Toy Story 2, I didn't get a picture of it, but I just remembered it now. During the scene where they're at Al's toy barn and they're kind of driving around, and in the distance, there's like a pink teddy bear, and that's supposed to be Lotso. Let me see if I can find that photo. Well, like he was supposedly, this is the inspiration of him from Toy Story 1. I don't know if you see it from the staff meeting in Toy Story
Oh,
1.
really? I remember that bear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be like his inspiration, was they got that teddy bear.
Pixar looked at that and they're like, we could do this way better now.
Yeah, because also one of the hardest things for them to animate was fur. So that was why you don't really see teddy bears in Toy Story 1.
Yeah, because it doesn't look like fur.
Yeah, it looks kind of weird and flat.
Yeah.
So that's why you only really see him in passing. But for Toy Story 3, they thought, let's get this pink bear and make it cuter, but evil.
I like that. They did their own remaster.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the baby could just be any baby.
Yeah, so many
It could
toy.
even be the baby head that Sid had on that
Oh,
tentacle monster.
that's a full circle moment.
I was thinking about that, how that baby looks, because it looks, perfect to how the toys look. Those baby toys look in real life. But I was thinking that it doesn't look like a baby at all. Like it has very awkward proportions.
Mm-hmm. This reminds me of how earlier in this podcast, this episode, I was going to ask you about throwing toys away. So my mother has thrown toys away of mine. And one of them was a baby toy, and it had a broken eye, just like that one.
Oh,
And it was because my mom thought it looked creepy. So she was like, nah, you don't want this. It looks creepy. Throw it away.
it does look creepy when it's broken.
It
When the eye is
does.
just fluttering.
There was another, I had like two baby toys like that. And one of them, I don't know if it was, well, it was broken, but like, which is worse, the way that this eye looks on this baby in Toy Story 3, or the other one that I had, you would lay it down and the eyes wouldn't close. It would just stay staring at you. And then when you picked it up, it would like blink. I remember being like, ugh. After that, I wasn't really a fan of baby toys.
Yeah, I remember that. A lot of them were built to tilt, and then the eyes close or open depending on what angle you tilt them at.
So that way it looks like they're asleep.
But it's weird how, like, what stage of baby is that supposed to be? Like,
Not quite toddler, not quite newborn. I don't know.
yeah, it's a weird in between where it just looks so weird to me.
That baby can walk too, so it's not like a newborn. It's able to move around and be the grunt, like the heavy hitter. It's a big
Yeah.
baby.
But then for it to be big enough like that and to walk, you would think its face wouldn't look so much like a baby. Like it would be a little bit. It's weird. It's
It's
weird.
crazy accurate though, because I've seen so many toys like that. Like that's
Yeah,
how
they
those
look just
baby
like
toys
that.
look. But
Yeah, they got it right.
it's more down to that toy maker of like, why would you make a baby look like this? I think obviously now they look a little bit better, but yeah, that was how a lot of those baby toys looked.
You remember that scene where the baby's just sitting on the swings looking at the moon?
Yes, that felt like this is a weird thing, but that felt like a scene out of Elden Ring. It's just zooming in on this weird baby creature looking at the moon.
I I was when that scene came up, I was thinking, what is it doing there?
It's also really scary the way it turns its head around. It's like,
But it's got to be like some sort of that baby's depressed.
oh yeah, that
Because
baby is
it wasn't
depressed.
patrolling, it wasn't doing security. That baby wasn't on the lookout. That baby was on a swing looking at the moon in the middle of the night,
Missing Daisy.
thinking about Daisy. That's a little creepy. I don't know. Something about it is like,
Especially the way it turned its head around. Just that made me jump on my first
right,
watch. I was like, whoa.
right.
It's really messed up that Lotso, like, he really made the other two give up Daisy as well. She didn't replace Chuckles and Baby. She just replaced him.
Yeah, that's what my man Chuckles said. But nobody believed him either.
He really is the anti Woody. He made his friends go down with him. If Woody was in that position, he would have let them go on without him.
Yeah. But that's another thing where life is unfair because nobody was in the wrong for this one. That little girl loved Lotso and her toys, but they just forgot. They forgot to pick it up.
Who's wrong is the parents. Why couldn't they just drive back and get their toys?
There
Like, oh,
were
we
well, they
forgot.
said that they pulled over because they weren't at they weren't at their destination. They pulled over for like a pit stop or whatever,
But like
according
that's
to
a,
the story.
I think that I should clarify. That's what I mean. Like when they picked her up and put her in the car, they should have gotten her toys and put them in with her. Like why would you just
I think they forgot. I don't think they did that on purpose.
I
Well,
mean,
he literally said that they were forgotten there on the side of the road.
that's what I'm saying. Like those parents should have, if they know, oh, Daisy's favorite toy is this teddy bear. She'll freak out if she doesn't have this teddy bear. They should have gotten the teddy bear and put him in the car.
Well, that's the whole point of the story. They didn't realize she forgot it there, and they're like, "Oh no, our little girl loves that bear. All right, we'll get her a new one." And then she loved that bear, and all of that makes sense
yeah, yeah. It's just
because they were miles out. They're not gonna just drive for miles and then look on the side of the road like, "Where did we stop? Where did we stop? Where is it? Where did we leave it?" Like, no, they're like, "All right, we'll get a new bear for her. It'll be fine," and it was fine. She was snuggling with it at night. Oh, another thing that I just remembered too.
hmm.
They hitched a ride on
Oh
the
yeah.
Toyota truck that just says "Yo" on it.
Yo.
Do you remember that from part was it 1 or 2? You remember that truck, right? That truck has been used before.
Really? Hang on.
Yeah. That is a Pizza Planet truck that yeah, they just use a Toyota and then it has all the letters faded out except for "Yo." I don't know why they brought it back if it has any bigger meaning or if it was
Oh
just like
yeah. Look at that. You're right.
yeah,
That's just probably how Pixar likes to reuse stuff from their older movies.
right.
Wow. Look at that. That was a neat catch.
Yeah, it stuck with me because you see a car that says "Yo" on it, it kind of just sticks out and it's funny.
Yo.
But then when you see it again, it's like, wait, what do they mean? What do they mean? Are they going to Pizza Planet? What's going on?
What if they're just saying yo, Tone? Huh?
Yeah.
Yo.
Oh, and Sid.
The trash guy, Sid.
Yeah. I don't remember seeing his shirt in the beginning of the movie. I thought the reveal was at the end when you see Sid again. But you can tell that it's Sid right from the start. He has a Sid shirt on,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the skull.
It's very evident, I think, for people who are watching this, like people our age who saw this at the time, that that's Sid. Because if you're a kid and this is like your first movie, you're not going to be like, oh, that's Sid.
But did you catch it first viewing?
Oh, yeah, right away. I knew that was Sid. I was like, oh my gosh.
So when he first picked it up at Andy's house, when he picked up the trash there,
Yep. Yep. I knew that was him.
I didn't know until the end, until like he tied Lotso to the
It's
truck.
like, oh man, I used to have one of these.
Yeah.
Is that a fitting end for him? You think that that's what he deserves?
I'm sorry to take you here, Caroline, but I think Lotso went to hell.
Oh, we're back at hell, the bathhouse
This is
with the
probably the
spirits.
worst. This is the worst outcome for a toy ever.
Yeah, yeah. I was even thinking like it's kind of cutthroat for Toy Story to have written that fate for him. I was pretty. Oof.
He's strapped to the front of a truck for all eternity. No little kid is gonna take that toy or care
He's gonna
about
get
that toy.
dirty. He's gonna get filled with bugs.
And it makes sense because that is something that you see on trucks. I don't see it
Yeah.
much anymore, but I remember seeing that was like some sort of tradition. I don't know why they did that, but I've
Hmm.
seen it a lot before. And yeah, what's worse than that? Like maybe if you die as a toy, but this is torture.
That's a fate worse than death, my friend. A fate
Yeah.
worse than death.
The other toys are joking around about it. Maybe they're used to
they've stinky peated. They've adapted to this lifestyle.
Yeah. They're like, keep your mouth closed. and, and then you see Lotso, he's like, like hold his breath.
Yeah, that's rough. I think that is like a fate worse than death for him. But, he's pretty bad.
He is a bad guy.
He's a bad guy. He was going to leave Woody and friends to die after they rescued him.
And it's a shame because he's so cute and cuddly.
I know, I do feel like whenever I see a Lotso toy, I do want to give it a hug. How can you not with a teddy bear, you know?
The first time I saw it in real life, somebody had it on their backpack, like attached on their like the back of their shoulder,
Uh-huh.
and it looked so nice. It looked really nice.
Just that's what he gets. That's his just desserts for enslaving a whole daycare of toys.
I guess so. But is that justified for him, or is that too mean for him?
My first thought is that's a little too mean, even for him. But I don't know. I don't know. It's a really
I'm kind of
cutthroat
torn on
ending.
this one. I don't know.
It's a really cutthroat ending, considering his villain origin story, especially with how like it's not his fault, but it is his fault that he enslaved all these toys. It's just, he could have just gone with Woody. He didn't have to be such a jerk about it.
But where would have Lotso ended up? Back at Sunnyside?
Yeah,
In the attic?
back at Sunnyside, but atoning put him in the caterpillar room.
In the new cool and groovy Sunnyside?
Yeah.
This really was the perfect ending.
It's the perfect ending. I would be so satisfied if this was it. Just 1 through 3. I like the shorts. The shorts are so cute. We'll have to talk about them later.
I
But
haven't seen any.
I watched all of them during this kind of binge I've been on for Toy Story,
Okay.
and they're all so adorable. They're so cute. And some of them are really, really touching and just like it would have been nice if they just would have made shorts. They didn't have to go on and make another one because this really is it's just the perfect ending. It's kind of the even that the end with the so long partner and he drives away and then it switches from that, the movie just I just taking a step back. The movie does a great job of not leaving you sad because you go from this really emotional moment between Andy and his toys and giving them away to that like the new and groovy sunny side and them being with Bonnie and their new friends now with Bonnie, and it ends on a really happy and hopeful note. It's just I loved it. That song at the
Yeah,
end.
and Hay
The
un amigo en mí.
Yes, but also the we belong together.
Yeah.
That one's really good. But yeah, Hay un amigo en mí is my favorite. I wanted to ask you if you wanted to on the fly rank the 3 You've Got a Friend in Me's.
On the fly.
Yeah, just
That's tough. So you're saying
the
original Randy Newman,
uh-huh.
then Wheezy, and then Spanish?
Yes,
Ah, man. You already have your list?
I do.
What is it?
Number 1 is Wheezy's. Number
Even
2,
above the original.
I do. I like it a lot. I'm a fan of the big band. Number
Okay.
3 is the original, and number 2 is Hay un amigo en mí. But I love all 3. Like I still love them all, but yeah, I really like Wheezy's.
Off the top of my head, I would have to go original because
It's the
that's the
original.
way. Yeah, that's the way it is. Then I'll go Wheezy. Then I'll go Spanish.
That's fair. That's fair. I love all 3 though. They're all now in my everyday playlist. They're
Oh,
just
made it!
they made it. It's really good.
Wow, right next to Jonas Brothers.
Yeah, they're there. They came back with a vengeance. They were like, "Oh, we're taking you down, Joe Bros."
Hey, that's pretty good. I got another song to add in there for you.
Okay.
The trap remix of Woody's Roundup.
What?
Oh, that's good.
The trap remix. Woody's Roundup. What is this? Wait, is this when I'm? Hang on, I'm gonna send you this link.
Let me see.
That way you're. Is this it? Like, just hear it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Here. Yeah, yeah. Listen to it.
Okay.
How's it start?
I don't know. This feels like if we gave Carl Woody's Roundup, this is what he would make.
How's it start, Caroline? What's he say?
I'd like to join your posse, boys, but first I'm going to sing a little song.
Perfect. He's a rootin'est, tootin'est cowboy in the wild, wild west.
How did you find this? Oh my gosh.
Don't worry about it.
I gotta make a note of this. I'm gonna include this in the highlight.
So, in the time that we've recorded our last episode, I spent time in New York visiting family, and that's where my mom kept my toys.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed you I had my Batman that I mentioned and my Robin that I mentioned.
Yes.
I found out these were from 1995,
Yep.
and then I found my Woody, and then I see my other toys there too. I didn't show you those, but I have my Ninja Turtle, Donatello. I had Popeye.
You had a Popeye?
I had a Popeye. Yeah. I had a Quasimodo.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I had Spider Man.
This is a sign we need to do Hunchback one day. But okay.
These are all signs of future movies that we're gonna do. We're definitely
Absolutely.
gonna watch
Batman
Batman and Robin
Forever
and Batman Forever
has been calling us, but continue.
and Spider Man. Yeah, I have like two different Spider Man toys. Oh, along with Doc Ock. These are from the Spider Man
Oh,
2.
perfect. Yeah, that's your movie.
Yeah, but yeah, after doing these Toy Story conversations and rewatching them, it just became so much more special. And I was just looking at them, reminiscing, and then thinking about how I used to play with them too. Like there's like scuff marks on Batman and Robin's face and like my other toys because they used to fight, so their heads would bang against each other and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, after that, I started packing them away, and then I couldn't help but think of the movie, and I'm like, man, am I putting them in the attic, or in my case, in the closet? And I made sure I put Woody on top. I left the bag open too.
Aw. So they could breathe.
Yeah, and then I made sure I looked over my shoulder, made sure my mom was out the room, in the kitchen or whatever. And then I just looked at Woody and I just gave him a thanks, partner, and then put him back in the closet. And closed it.
Aw. A proper hello. This is what would have happened if they stayed in the attic. The fate of your toys is what awaited them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Andy would have saw them like 10 years later. His kid probably would have been like, 8 years old, whatever. And that's exactly what would have happened. They would have just gotten seen for one more day. And I don't think that his kid probably would have played with them either. He probably would have been on the tablet by that time or playing Nintendo or whatever. But yeah, and then put away again.
This might be a conversation for another time, but I would have liked if like the ending, if there's like a Toy Story 5 where it does deal with Andy and his kid. And because in one of the shorts, I'm trying to remember which one, it's like a dinosaur themed one. And it's where Bonnie goes on a play date with a kid who has like the equivalent of an Xbox. And they're getting all engrossed in this video game, and Bonnie brings over her toys because she wants to play toys with this little boy, but he's like, "Oh no, jump on like the Xbox with me." And the toys are waiting in the playroom, and like the Bonnie's toys talk to the boy's toys, and they find out that the boy never plays with his toys. He's always on the Xbox. And so what they end up doing is they do like typical Toy Story operation where we're like, all right, Operation Playdate. And they go and they turn off the Xbox with the surge protector. And what was it? Bonnie, like since the game is off, like she immediately starts playing with her toys. And she encourages the little boy to like play with her. And it becomes this really amazing play date where they go into his room and they start, oh hang on. So Bonnie just immediately, starts playing with her toys, and she like encourages this little boy to play with his toys. And in a way, like I was watching it and kind of like thinking about kids today and thinking like there are still kids that love to play with toys. It's not all just technology. That is still like a huge factor. Kids love iPads and their Nintendos and stuff, but there is something nice about teaching your kid to have their imagination, to work on their imagination and play with toys and play with other kids. And so I'd like to think that if there was a possible future, even if it was like with Andy's kid or something, that, you know, that kid would also like to play with toys instead of it just being written off as like, oh, he's playing with Nintendo.
Yeah, I'm a supporter of that idea too, even though it could sound very cheesy. But the imagination, I feel like we really need to exercise our creativity, and Toy Story is about that. Especially when they get into doing the playtime openings for their movies, starting with 2 and then 3.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just, I think it's really overlooked. Is really overlooked, and I think is an important part of childhood, and just for regular adult life too. I think is important skill to have, and to be a creative.
I agree because a lot of times with like I mean we're going to get like this is a little bit too deep of a conversation for this so I'll keep it light but like a lot of times with kids that spend so much time on, tablet or video games, they tend to lack with like social skills and, like reading and writing and their own creativity. But when they play with toys and then they play with other kids with toys, that just increases, being social and being having a lot of fun and using your creativity, thinking outside the box and stuff. And I agree. I think it's just really important. And that's also why, like with Bonnie, we haven't really talked about Bonnie. I really like her. I think Toy Story 4 does a lot to make people not like Bonnie. But Toy Story 3, I really like her. She's so cute. She has a huge imagination. Huge. And she just is so creative with like the bakeries on fire and things like that. And she's a lot like Andy with like this whole like think of looking at a piggy bank and thinking he's the villain, the evil Dr. Porkchop. And she's like that. She has all of these things for her toys and it's just really out of the box. She really is like a really good kid to pass the toys on to.
Go back to this Bonnie hate for Toy Story 4. Is that true?
Yeah, I was talking to some friends about Toy Story 4 and they all said Toy Story 4 made them really dislike Bonnie.
I know we're gonna talk about Toy Story 4, but I'm trying to think about why that would be.
I think
Is
we
it because
can
she ignores Woody, and Woody's our guy?
That's part
Is
of it,
that
but
why?
it's also like kind of the whole silliness around Forky and I haven't seen Toy Story 4 for this whole saga that we're going through, so I can't remember a lot, but I do remember those parts, the whole forgetting Woody and the Forky thing.
The Forky thing was kind of pointless for me, but anyways.
But yeah, that just like that's one of the things that attributes to a little bit of a Bonnie dislike for Toy Story 4. But in Toy Story 3, I love her.
Yeah, she's great. She's sweet and shy, and they really capture that kid that, when she says hi to Andy's mom, she's like, "Hi," and then looks away, and then
And then when Andy comes over and she's hiding behind her mom.
yeah. And then Andy, he's already really good with kids, the way he's talking to her.
Oh yeah. Did you know that that's the same voice actor from Toy Story 1 and 2 for Andy?
I didn't think that they would have to change him, but now you're making me appreciate that they kept him,
His name is
because he's the same age.
Yeah, his name is John Morris. He voiced Andy in 1 and 2. And it's funny because after Toy Story 1 and 2, he never, you know, played Andy. Like Pixar never contacted him again. And they just like, okay, like we're done with Toy Story 1 and 2. We don't need you anymore. And he said that when it was kind of a like when they called him when Toy Story 3 was being worked on, they were like, should we get him? What if it's not suitable? So I think it was the writer for the story said that they called him up and they got his answering machine. He didn't even answer their call, but just hearing his voice on the answering machine, they were like, yeah, that's how we want
Andy?
that's how we want Andy to sound. Like they said that they got like whiplash. They were like, "Oh, that's what Andy would sound like now." And so they called him and they said, "You got to play Andy again."
Andy, pick up. It's John. We need you.
This is actually not a John Lasseter film. This is a
Oh yeah,
new
it says just produced, right?
yeah, a new director. His name is Lee Unkrich, and he was the co-director though of Toy Story 2. So that was like his first kind of hit was he did Toy Story 2, he did Monsters Inc., he did Finding Nemo, and he did Coco.
Who directed Toy Story 4?
Josh Cooley. He did Inside Out.
Hmm. You like that movie, right? Inside Out?
Yeah, yeah, Inside Out's pretty good.
All right. That's another one I think I like half saw. I didn't see it fully through.
Okay, wait, he did not. He did the screenplay. Wait, what did he direct? This can't be right. He directed no movies before Toy Story 4. It's all screenplay.
They trusted him with the biggest Pixar franchise of all time.
He's a story artist and screenplay writer for Incredibles, Cars, Ratatouille, Up, Cars 2, Inside Out, Coco, and Incredibles 2. But these are all like story artist, uncredited role, story supervisor. And then Toy Story 4, it's like director with original story
That he wrote.
that he wrote. Mm-hmm. Josh Cooley. We need
All
to have
right.
some words, sir. His next film is an untitled Transformers prequel. Oh,
Nice.
uh, okay.
So he's teaming up with Michael Bay.
I think Michael Bay's producing it, so maybe.
I have no. So is this live action?
Let me see.
This is a Transformers podcast now.
It's animated. Hang on. In April 2020, Josh Cooley signed on to direct the animated prequel film.
Prequel to what?
Huh. It says this film will explore the origins of Cybertron. It looks like this is going to be a prequel to like
Everything.
Transformers 2007. Yeah, everything. Huh. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, back on Toy Story 3. Lee Unkrich, good job. Good job.
Yeah, definitely.
I really didn't even know that Lasseter didn't direct this movie until recently when I was doing my research for this film. I was like, oh, dang, okay.
I was just watching the credits and I didn't see him as director. I'm like, oh, okay, but he's still a part of it. And then that's also when I saw Michael Keaton, and I thought, no way, no, that's a typo. And then
Oh,
even it made me think, like, wait, who's Michael Keaton? It's not Vulture, it's not Batman. It can't be. That's not Ken. And then I looked it up. I'm like, no, it's not the Michael Keaton.
oh yeah.
It's got to be a different Michael Keaton, right, with the same
Nope.
name. How's that possible? I still can't believe that.
Vocal range. Vocal range.
Now that's a voice actor right there.
Everybody in this movie is a voice actor. Who plays Lotso?
I don't know. That's another good question.
Ned Beatty.
Oh, you just reminded me. Dang, we got to talk about Lightyear soon because I got questions.
Oh yeah. I have a lot of questions for
Oh
Lightyear.
yeah, I got a lot of questions for you, so you better research up.
Uh,
There's not plenty of time either because
There's
we're gonna
not.
jump right into it. But don't say anything about it.
I won't, but
Before I don't know how much more you got to say about the movie, but I guess before we get to our final thoughts, I just want to give a quick shout out to Bullseye for being the only one who was going to follow Woody back to Andy's house.
Oh, that scene, my heart. Oh my gosh. When he had to shoo Bullseye away, that to me is the saddest scene in the whole movie.
Let's rank saddest scenes.
Bullseye, number one.
Avengers Endgame, goodbye to the toys, number 2.
Number three, the incinerator.
Incinerator,
Number four, Lotso's origin story.
number 5, Operation Cell Phone Playtime.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Was that sad for you or no? Was there something sad?
Oh no, that was sad. That was
That
straight
was
up
sad.
sad. Very sad. The realization that Buster is older.
Ah,
When he
number
whistles,
1 saddest scene.
number one saddest scene is when he whistles and Buster is barely
Waddling in,
waddling in. He's all gray, saggy.
his belly is dragging on the floor.
That that hit me hard. I keep that in the back of my head when I look at Luke, and I'm like, no, you're still a baby.
See, it's things like that where this is what I'll say for my final thoughts on the movie. It just matters so much. And Pixar has still been making good movies, but I just think about Toy Story. And again, it could be my bias. I will admit that. But I just feel like they really thought about telling a story with meaning. And they really thought about childhood to young adult. What's going to happen? What are the consequences? What's the journey for him, for the toys? Like, it's just so emotional, and it's the best story they've done.
I'm reminded of, I think, our conversation from the first episode, from the first Toy Story, how it's really magical that they made a story that is still relatable years later. Like, I look back at Toy Story 1 and I remember playing with my toys, being a kid like that. And, I remember being a kid and watching Toy Story and being like, oh, yes, I love my toys. Like, I was able to watch it as a kid and watch it as an adult with all that nostalgia and love. And Toy Story 3 is so amazing because it tackles a familiar aspect of life, in that Toy Story 1 tackled being a kid and having your toys, and then Toy Story 3, I really, that was when it hit me, like, also, like, I'm growing up. I'm growing out of things that that mattered to me as a kid, and it made me realize, like, I don't play with my toys anymore. Like, I'm an adult. I'm moving on, and it's really special that the same franchise can inflict those emotions on their audience, and a generation of kids that have grown up with these characters and these movies. And Toy Story 3 for me just really is the perfect ending, because that's the perfect ending for that kind of arc with your toys, with either regifting them or keeping them however special they are to you. And it's just really something special that they managed to accomplish with the story here, and how it impacted so many people.
It is a true ending for Toy Story. Here's my other Endgame reference. Toy Story 3 is Endgame. Toy Story 4 is Far From Home.
Yeah.
The MCU ended at Endgame, okay? Everything else is just like bonus.
Yep.
The Toy Story 4 is just like, all right, that's Far From Home. But we already saw Endgame. It ended. They had to come up with something for another story. They had to come up with something.
They saw it and were like, we could still use this franchise. It's super popular, but
But we can make our own headcanon and accept this as a one true ending, as it should be, and it was.
exactly, yes. This is the ending and only ending I acknowledge for this story.
So we don't need a 5 to correct anything. We don't need a JJ this.
I kind of want one though.
Why?
Just because I'm not satisfied with the ending of Toy Story 4. Either way.
We were just talking about how it's okay to ignore Toy Story 4 and accept this as a true ending.
But the fact of the matter is Toy Story 4 was made.
Leave it be.
Uh,
Toy Story 4 is still going to exist. Even when 5 comes out, it's still going to exist. And also, I gotta rewatch it because I don't really think it's that bad. I just don't like the way it ends.
It's not bad. I'm just really upset with certain characterizations and the ending.
All
I'll
right.
leave it at that.
Yeah, let's leave it at that because I feel like we're gonna turn this into a four discussion as well.
But Toy Story 3 is just, this is another little side note as we wrap it up. This is a really good soundtrack. If anybody out there likes to listen to movie soundtracks while you're doing tasks, this is a really good one. It's got a lot of the same keys and notes from the first one, and then they just kind of subtly bring them back. And Randy Newman, best work. Good job.
I noticed that too. I noticed they used a lot of familiar themes. I feel like I've even heard Woody's Roundup a couple times
Yep.
playing in
Mm-hmm.
there.
You'd be right.
Especially during the garbage pickup scene where they're confused to be garbage instead of being put in the attic. I was trying to hear what they were playing for Sid. I felt like they played something, but I couldn't recognize it. But to give away that it was Sid, I'm gonna have to rewatch it and see if somebody caught on to that. But yeah, there's a lot of familiar themes being played throughout the movie.
It's really well done. This movie is a modern Pixar classic. It's just one of the greats.
Is it a modern Pixar classic?
Well, it came out in 2010. It's pretty modern.
Okay. I don't know. What's the cutoff? Is it Toy Story 3?
I would want to say 2010 to now. That's like a 12-year gap.
So everything before is classic Pixar?
There's like a mid period because there's like the 2000s kind of era, and then you get like into like the 1990s. Look at these Pixar films.
I don't even know. I think it was Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo. Oh, no. Monsters Inc. definitely came out
there's
before Toy Story 3.
there's three. It was Toy Story, A Bug's Life, and Toy Story 2, and then 2001 because this is all 95 to 99. 2001 to 2009 is like Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, Incredibles, Cars, Ratatouille, Wally, Up. And then
They were on a roll.
they were on a roll. And then Toy Story 3 was 2010. And then I think 2011 is we get Cars 2, and then Brave, Monsters University, Inside Out, The Good Dinosaur. I think this is when they start getting hits and misses. 2011 to now ish, it's a little hit or miss because like
I missed a lot of the modern ones. The ones you mentioned, I didn't see.
Cars 2, nah. Brave, yeah. Monsters University, nah.
I
Inside
didn't see
Out,
any of those.
yeah. Good Dinosaur, nah. Finding Dory, yeah. Cars 3, eh.
I
Coco,
haven't seen
oh yeah.
any of those movies you're mentioning right now.
Incredibles 2, eh. Toy Story 4, eh. Onward, mm?
Onward, I would
Mm?
say okay. No, it's not that good. It's
It,
it's just
mm?
it's awesome for making me cry, but it's not that good.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's
I'm not
okay.
giving it a yeah, but it's good. It's okay.
It's okay.
Soul, mm?
Soul is good.
Mm? Soul is pretty good. The music in Soul is oof. Luca, yeah. Turning Red, mm?
We got to start. Hold on now. We're in the Pixar passage right now. We got to rank these,
Someday we
correct?
will. Yeah, we will.
Well, I'm keeping track of it right now.
Okay.
So far we've seen 3 Toy Stories
Yeah.
and we've seen Lightyear,
Yeah. You got
but
write these down for later on. One day we'll have seen them all.
without spoiling your list, and also you don't really have a list, and neither do I. But just think about it: how many movies are of this caliber? How many Pixar movies are on this level of Toy Story 3?
Coco. Um
You don't have to say exactly, but you think there's a good handful, like 5, 6?
yes. I would
Yeah.
say yes.
Okay. All right.
I would say 5. At least I could name 5 right now that are as good.
Okay, I accept that. And I got a lot of catching up to do too,
Yes,
because
you do.
I haven't seen any modern Pixar movie. Well, I have. I dabbled in a few. I saw Soul. I saw Soul. I saw Turning
Onward,
Red.
Turning
Onward.
Red,
Yeah.
Lightyear.
Yeah. But all right, good enough for now. Let's give our farewell, Caroline.
You're right. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcasting platform and it's your first time, give us a follow. Uh, Hit that bell icon for notifications. If you're a returning listener, an honest review, please. If you're hearing us on YouTube, like, subscribe, hit that bell icon if you want notifications as well for our marvelous highlights. Thank you, everybody, for all the love on the Toy Story 1 highlight. That means so much to me. I'm so proud of that one.
Yeah, thank you everybody who's watching those highlights. They've been getting a lot more views. So
I'm so happy.
yeah.
That's my passion projects, are those
Yeah,
highlights.
Caroline's completely in charge of those. So
I am. I am.
yeah. Thank you very much for that. Thank you for writing in, loyal San Antonio listeners, to the email. And I welcome anyone else who wants to reach out and write about whatever you like. I'll read them and respond on the podcast. All right.
At elbownudgepod@gmail.com.
At elbownudgepod@gmail.com.
Well, not like, I'm just saying, like, I'm putting emphasis on the at.
Oh, I got you. All
Email
right. You
us at
confused me.
elbownudgepod@gmail.com.
Perfect. Thank you for listening. And Caroline, trust me on this. So long, partner.